With the second Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailer, we have now gotten a better look at the game and have also finally kicked off the news cycle for the newest generation of the franchise. Now, I was envisioning just one or two extra things out of this trailer than we actually got, but despite that, I think we have a really good idea of what this game should be like. And I gotta say, I'm pretty pumped. But not just because this is a new gen of Pokemon, but rather for what I believe it means for the series. Now, there is definitely going to be a bit of speculation in this video, but from everything we've seen so far, I really truly believe Scarlet and Violet are going to be great additions to the franchise, and could be everything that Sword and Shield should have been. Without wasting any further time, let's just get into this. So, Sword and Shield. Just saying these games' names is enough to send some people into a frenzy. Many fans felt cheated, burned, and just straight up disappointed with these first entries in the Gen 8. They were the first true Pokemon games on the Switch. Yes, we had Let's Go, but between being a completely different style of gameplay, as well as being a reimagining of Pokemon Yellow, it really wasn't what the vast majority of people were waiting for. No, that came in the form of Pokemon Sword and Shield. As with most February 27th, 2019 gave us the reveal of the Galar region, our starters, and even a look at the graphics. I think even back then, people were a little lukewarm on the graphics, but it didn't matter much. It was Pokemon on the Switch, so how could you not be excited? Then June came along and gave us the reveal of a few more Pokemon, some new characters, the box art legends, and the new generation's main gimmick, Dynamaxing and the Wild Area. It was quite the reveal that gave us a lot without spoiling anything huge. I think for the most part, people were sold on this. The idea of a large open world with Pokemon just out in the open? It's literally what most of us had dreamed of since we were really young, pretending Pokemon were real in our backyards. Then the E3 Treehouse happened. National Dex is cut, and rage ensues. I'm sure you all know the story by now. Many amazing things were revealed afterwards, but it didn't matter. A decent amount of Pokemon were locked out completely, and the wild area, it didn't look that spectacular. But there was still some hope. Interviews pointed to a minor league that made it seem like there was going to be a gym of every type, and even the possibility of multiple wild areas. Sadly though, the minor leagues exist within the lore, and not something that actually can be experienced within the game. Then, fast forwarding to the game's release, and we see that we were great with just one really large wild area that had different parts accessible at different points in the story. A tad disappointing. Now, all of this said, I think Sword and Shield were okay games for the most part. What it lacked in graphical fidelity and any semblance of a decent story was made up for with really great designs between the characters in Pokemon, and even tweaks to the mechanics that greatly improved quality of life stuff for many people. Competitive Pokemon certainly became easier than ever for novices to get into right away, the introduction of TRs as companion teachables to TMs, and even little things like being able to evolve Pokemon that hit level 100 without ever being evolved somehow. Heck, we even got DLC for extra content instead of another full-priced game. Now, some can argue that maybe the 200 Pokemon, new wild areas, and story content in there should have been added straight from the beginning. But that's for a different debate that I'm not trying to get into right now. The point is that Game Freak really did try to go in a new direction with these games, and ultimately, it did pay off for them. As it stands, Sword and Shield are the second best-selling games in the franchise, with 24.27 million units sold, and will probably hold that record for a bit. But even with all of this said, I can't lie. The games, of course, left me wanting something more. In fact, it did for many people. I think even Game Freak felt that. So where did they go from there? Well, they made Legends Arceus, a major shakeup for the series. Action RPG elements, a fully dedicated single-player experience, and all of it being semi-open world. A large amount of open areas, but still following the linear format Pokemon is known for. Still a little bit ugly, but no one can sit there and say there wasn't real heart and effort put into this game. And once again, they were rewarded for it. In just 2 months, Legends Arceus sold 12.64 million copies, and that was outside of their normal holiday season. Now, technically, in its first week of release, the sales outpaced all other Pokemon games on the Switch, including Pokemon Sword and Shield. But I'm very doubtful it'll ever take over the amount Sword and Shield sold. But I think people that wanted Pokemon to be shaken a little bit should still rejoice, as this does send a clear signal to the Pokemon Company that a lot of fans are actually okay with the change. But I think they already got the message with Sword and Shield. And that brings us to 2022. Legends Arceus has been out for a few months now. People are loving it, and the fan base seems to be content. So naturally, we get Gen 9 announced for later this year, and people are conflicted. On one hand, yeah, more Pokemon, cool. And on the other, there's an increased feeling of people being okay with waiting 4 or even 5 years for a new generation of Pokemon, and worry that sticking to the normal cycle is starting to wear Game Freak, and Pokemon as a whole down. And those concerns are only amplified when people start seeing the rough graphics straight out the gate. But something big is happening here. The press release implies that this is a fully open world Pokemon game. Not open areas, not semi-open world, fully open world. Something that once seemed like a dream is now reality. But this is just a teaser, and not much is clear. So we all were subjected to the waiting game. And that leads us to where we are now. We've got our second trailer, some new characters in Pokemon, the box art legends, with just the main gimmick missing. If you want my take on what I think that gimmick could be, why don't you take a look at this video here when you're done with this one. So now that quite a few minutes have passed, you must be asking, what was the point of this long explanation? Well, it's really just to provide context for those that lived under a rock during the Sword and Shield era, as well as a reminder for those that felt burned by it. Because this second trailer for Scarlet and Violet gave me full confidence that these are the games that everyone, maybe including Game Freak, wanted Sword and Shield to be. Let's break it down. First off, confirmation that this is a fully open world game. The website reads that this is a game that we're all free to explore at our leisure and not in any order dictated by the story. That's huge. Simply huge. Now, that might give some concern to people that love the story, as perhaps it could mean it is more or less pointless, but I don't have that concern just yet. Plus, I don't think it'll be hard to top Sword and Shield's story. There's also true co-op in this game. Sword and Shield had the wild area, which would connect us to the internet and allow us to see a plethora of people that did the same, but it would kind of lag things out and just didn't really feel that immersive. But Scarlet and Violet? It might not let us see 15 other trainers, but what it does claim is to let us play with 3 other friends directly and explore the region with them. And for the lovers of following Pokemon, that looks like it's making a hopefully triumphant return. But here's the really big stuff. A bit of speculation on my part here, but I think you'll be able to see where I'm coming from. We were introduced to Professor Sada and Tudo, each being the professor of their own game, which could lead to something pretty big. People have been complaining for years, long before Sword and Shield actually, that there just isn't a need for 2 games anymore, when all you get are Pokemon locked behind a specific version, and that's the only difference. People understandably feel a little annoyed, and now that online isn't free anymore, that adds even more fuel to the fire. But with these 2 professors, there's an opportunity for 2 versions to actually make sense in the modern day. Each professor is apparently carrying out research in this certain lore that's been passed down in the region. Speaking of lore, you should go check out Tavoctionary for Genshin Impact lore. As I've already discussed, both the professors and the legendaries for their respective regions have their names derived from the words past/ancient for Scarlet and future for Violet. Right off the bat, we have a theme for the past versus the future. I'm sure there will be some intertwining of the story between both versions, no doubt. But this could completely change the narrative and endgame for each one, adding more value to those that choose to buy both. Just picture it. This is a large open world, and we're probably heavily looking into the themes of the past and the future, but seemingly not the present. Sure, it could have only to do with the lore of the legendaries, but after Legends Arceus, in which, spoilers, we were sent to the past by Arceus for shits and giggles. I don't think we can take cards off the table for something similar to happen here. Maybe in the story, we will be directly traveling between the present and other period of time depending on the game we're playing, which would just be insane, and certainly something that makes both versions existing make sense. But it's not just that. We also have the gyms. We got a brief look towards the end of the trailer, but we certainly saw a battlefield. But what's interesting about this battlefield is that we see flags depicting flames, but animations that depict something you would see with the ground typing. We also get a good look at a big tower with the battlefield and the flags all in the same shot. So what does this mean? Well, to be blunt, I don't know 100%, but here's my theory. 1, it ties into the whole play the game in any order you want. What makes the most sense is when you choose a gym, the Pokemon scale up to the number of badges you have. So that way, you're not forced to do things in a certain order based on difficulty, not scaling. This is very similar to Pokemon Crystal Clear, the ROM hack I've spoken about in the past, which some of you guys may or may not know. This kind of progression tracking is also why I'm not particularly worried about the story. I think Breath of the Wild was just fine in what they accomplished. Sprinkling bits and pieces of story for players just doing their own thing while having the big bits saved for stuff you're encouraged to do and very minimal required actions. Now, even with the new kinds of boss battles we've been getting in Pokemon, I don't think we'll just be getting our starters and instantly be able to challenge Koridon or Miraidon. But I do think there will be a flexible flow of events that eventually do build up to that. Now, the second thing. I really do believe that Game Freak will be toying with the idea of each game having a large number of differences, and that includes the gyms. Now, do I believe it will be that minor league 18 gyms in total wish that we had for Sword and Shield? No. But we had 2 exclusive gyms in each of those games, and I think Scarlet and Violet will take it a step further. I feel that each game will have mostly, if not exclusively, unique gym challenges to each game. It's a wild take, and I'm sure I'll be proven wrong in a month or two, but I feel pretty dang confident about this. And what all of this leads to is extreme amounts of replayability. Think about it. 2 games, 2 stories, 16 different gyms that can be done in any order you want, with 3 of your pals exploring a fully open world how you see fit. This isn't just what Sword and Shield should have been. It's that and more. Even taking my speculation out of the equation, we still have huge improvements on the formula that makes me excited for what's to come. Yeah, I get it. We don't necessarily need a Pokemon game every year. Of course, they could look prettier. But what I'm seeing from Game Freak since Sword and Shield's release is steady improvement in all areas, and a team of people that truly seem to be trying new and fun things for a series that's had a fantastic run for the last quarter of a century. And honestly, I can see them going another quarter more, easily. Well, those are my thoughts, guys. Tell me, what do you all think? Are you just as excited for Scarlet and Violet as I am, or do you think we need to see a little more first? Please be sure to let me know in the comments below. I know I might be jumping the gun a little, but I see real promise in these games, and hope that, come November, we're all playing a set of fantastic games that marked a huge step forward for the franchise. Oh, dude, 4 strength, 4 stam leather belt? Level 18? Welcome back to the outro, folks, your favorite part of the video. Thank you for enjoying another Mystic Umbreon video. We made it through the end of the 8th generation, and now we begin the long trek into late 2022 where Pokemon Scarlet and Violet await us. It's a whole new world we'll live in, but we still gotta catch them all. However, there's still a ton of videos to do and experiences to have until then. If you're interested in more Mystic content, check out my TikTok and the Mystic Umbreon Shorts YouTube channel. If we get the 10k followers on TikTok, I'll be doing a viewer's choice video. If you like Genshin Impact, check out my Genshin channel Teibachinary. So if you all enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. See you next time.